It's late summer, 1979. Two English couples are driving through the French countryside. Picture golden light, long shadows, that strange hush where the world feels thinner than usual. They're not chasing mystery, just a cheap room for the night. Instead, they find a hotel that shouldn't exist. A little stone inn, wooden shutters, staff dressed like they stepped out of a museum, oil lamps glowing like light bulbs should be, and a bill so low it feels like a joke. Everything is simple. Everything is slightly wrong. Welcome back to Time Slipped, the podcast where reality occasionally misfiles us, and we spend the next 40 years trying to figure out which drawer we got stuck in. I'm your host, Nikki Rich, and today's case is one of the most quietly disturbing stories in the Time Anomaly archives. It's just a hotel. Very normal, very unassuming hotel that vanished. And the unnerving part isn't that it disappeared. It's that it felt real, down to the meals, the beds, the coins exchanged at checkout. And it left the travelers with something even stranger. A night's sleep in a place that might not have belonged to their century. This is Checkout Time, the roadside detour that steps sideways out of history. Again, it's 1979. Think cassette tapes rattling in the glove compartment, guidebooks with badly printed maps. A time when, if you got lost, the only option was to accept your fate. Or ask a stranger in a village who may or may not understand your accent. Two British couples are headed to Spain, Jeff and Pauline Simpson and Len and Cynthia Gisby. They're doing the classic long-haul drive. Ferry from England, then down through France, then onward to the coast. They need a place to stay, just one night before pushing further south. As they drive, a building appears at the side of the road. It's small, stone, quiet looking, a sign hanging above the door. So they slow down, turn in, park, and nothing about it screams paranormal hotspot. It looks like the kind of place you'd pass 100 times and never think about again, which in hindsight is exactly what makes it so strange. Inside, the first thing they notice is the light. Not electric, not the cold fluorescence of a motel, but warm, flickering light from oil lamps. The lobby feels old, not deliberately themed, not Disney's France 1890 edition, just genuinely, quietly outdated. Wooden furniture polished smooth by decades of use, no visible technology, no phone at the front desk, no credit card machine, not even a modern register, just a small bell and a ledger. The staff wear uniforms that belong to another era. They're dark, simple fabrics, high collars, and the strangest part, they don't speak like modern hotel staff. There's none of the bonjour, welcome, just polite nods, soft answers, as if conversation itself is rationed. They're given two rooms upstairs, each one quiet, cozy, perfectly clean, but undeniably old. The wallpaper has tiny repeating patterns like something from the early 1900s, heavy quilts, iron bed frames, a wash basin, and absolutely no sign of the decade they were living in. Again, no phone, no radio, no television humming in the background, just silence. That night, the couples eat dinner. Fresh bread, cheese, stew, wine. The kind of meal that tastes like it came straight from a farmhouse kitchen. Nothing modern, nothing packaged, nothing remotely resembling late 70s French cuisine. And afterward, they sleep. And that part, the sleep, they remembered vividly. Because it was deeper and quieter than they expected. A kind of rest that feels rare, like the whole building settled around them and exhaled. They didn't know it then, but this was the last completely normal moment of their story. The next morning, they come downstairs, and breakfast is simple. The staff are still quiet. Everything feels calm in that slow, old-world way. They pay their bill, and this is the moment that should have been the giveaway. It's 19 francs for 4 people, for dinner, and lodging, and breakfast. Even in 1979, that's suspiciously low, like Victorian era low. They laugh about it, take a couple photos out front, and drive off towards Spain. Well, days later, on their way home, they decide to stop again. Same route, same plan, same landmarks. But when they reach the spot, there's nothing. There's no hotel, no driveway, no sign, not even ruins. Just an empty field. They pull over, check the map, check it again, retrace their steps, drive the road back and forth. Sure, they must have missed the turn. But there is no turn. No building. No structure even resembling what they remember. They ask locals, describing the building, the staff, the uniforms, the prices. But no one, not a single person, has ever heard of a hotel like that. Worse, the architecture they describe doesn't fit anything nearby, or any hotel that existed in that decade. The couples began to argue in that quiet, unsettled way. Maybe we're misremembering the road. No, we took that turn. But what about the church on the corner? We saw the same church today. Everything matched, except the hotel. At this point, you might do the same thing they did. You might say, well, at least we took pictures. Proof, evidence, something solid to hold on to when the world suddenly feels slippery. But when they get the film developed, the photos of the hotel aren't there. Not blurry, or overexposed, or dark, just missing. Like the camera skipped that moment. Like the film didn't register the hotel at all. In the Gatsby's picture sequence, 2 frames are simply absent. One shows the car driving toward the hotel. Then, gap. The next image is of them miles down the road the following day. The hotel is never captured. And here's the part that raises every hair on the back of my neck. Every other photo from the trip developed perfectly. Street scenes, meals, a blurry shot of Jeff doing karate in a parking lot, all normal, or semi-normal, except the hotel. Whatever they saw, whatever they stepped into, either refused to be photographed or didn't exist in a way film could understand. Okay, let's slow this down and talk about what might have happened here. Because whenever a story like this comes up, a hotel that shouldn't exist, uniforms from the wrong era, photos that won't develop, people immediately start reaching for explanations. And honestly, some of them are adorable. So theory 1, they just got lost. This is the one skeptics love. Like these 4 adults, 2 couples, 4 different sets of eyes and memories all collectively forgot how roads work. Except they didn't. They remembered the exact same turnoff, the same landmarks, the same little details, down to the wallpaper pattern. If it were just one person, sure, but 4, all misremembering the same imaginary hotel, it starts feeling less like a mistake and more like a group project assigned by the universe. Theory 2, maybe it was a themed hotel. You'll hear this one a lot too. Oh, maybe it was some kind of historical experience. You know, the old-timey uniforms, oil lamps, rustic vibes. Except this place wasn't trying to sell anything. There were no brochures, no kitschy decorations, no "Welcome to 1905" signs. Just people quietly going about their day, like they lived there, like the year actually was 1905. Theory 3. Maybe they made it up. This is the obligatory option, but here's the thing. If you're going to hoax something, you usually tell someone, you write a book, you go on talk shows, you get interviewed by a paranormal magazine with a wolf on the cover. These couples did none of that. They weren't chasing a spotlight. They were mostly confused and a little embarrassed. Not exactly the vibe of masterminds pulling off the world's quietest conspiracy. Theory 4. A shared memory glitch. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Memory is messy. Brains are weird. But again, all 4 people remembering the same extremely specific, extremely unusual details, that's not a glitch. That's a synchronized swim routine. And unless someone was handing out hallucinogenic croissants at dinner, this just doesn't explain it. And lastly, theory 5, a time slip. This is the one normal people might whisper, but I am saying very loudly and proudly. And it's the one everyone secretly likes best, but pretends not to. It's not a portal. It's not a wormhole. Nothing cinematic or dramatic, just a moment. A thin place. A seam in the fabric where 2 time periods brushed up against each other, and a door, completely ordinary, opened. They checked in, ate stew, slept under heavy quilts, and checked out the next morning without ever realizing they'd crossed into someone else's present. Which honestly sounds so amazing. What a calming, glorious night. Honestly, if time is going to malfunction, this is the kind of glitch that makes the most sense. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't flashy, it was quiet, accidental, almost polite. And maybe, just maybe, the hotel didn't vanish at all. Maybe it simply returned to the year it belonged to. Here's the part that makes the story even bigger. Because tales like this whisper across the world. Hikers finding cabins that aren't there in the morning, travelers staying at inns that don't appear on any map, people paying with outdated currency and having it accepted. These stories don't go viral. They don't dominate newspapers. They're too soft, too unnerving, too unmarketable. But they repeat over and over, quietly, persistently, like echoes from a world only one thin wall away. So what did Jeff, Pauline, Len, and Cynthia experience? Did they slip into another time without knowing it? Or did something from another time slip into theirs? Maybe the hotel wasn't misplaced at all. Maybe they were. Just visitors passing through a place not meant for them. Welcomed, fed, sheltered, and returned safely to their own timeline before the door shut. That's it for this episode of Time Slipped. If you enjoyed this one, leave a review, share it with a friend, or maybe take a closer look at the last hotel you stayed in. Check the wallpaper, check the receipt, check the photos. You never know what decade you're sleeping in. And for the love of continuity, always check your surroundings before you check in.